Little House on the Prairie, the series that once moved audiences around the world with its sense of peace and pure family love. But are you sure you really know what happened behind the cameras? Why was such a warm icon surrounded by cigarettes, alcohol, and deep fractures for decades?
When my attorney and I went to see Mike to talk about that, he deflected in every way. He just did not want to discuss it.
What made the child stars carry emotional wounds for 40 years before they could finally speak out? And what dark secret behind the set has only recently been brought back into the spotlight, sending the media into a frenzy? All the most unfiltered truths will be uncovered in this video.
And this began a cycle of diminishment and punishment and retribution that I could not believe.
In 1972, producer Ed Friendly became interested in Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House books after his wife Natalie and daughter Brooke suggested them to him. Friendly already had experience in television, having worked on Laugh-In. He quickly recognized the potential of the story about the Ingalls family. After looking into the project, Ed Friendly acquired the adaptation rights from Roger Leigh McBride, the heir and manager of the rights to Laura Ingalls Wilder's works. This was an important step that allowed the project to be developed into a major television production rather than remaining simply an idea for adapting the popular children's books. Friendly then approached screenwriter Blanche Hanalis to develop the story into a television film. Hanalis was assigned to write a roughly 2-hour pilot script based primarily on Little House on the Prairie. The script needed to preserve the important characters and setting while also fitting the structure of television. One of the most important decisions in the project was the choice of Michael Landon. At the time, Landon had just completed 14 years on Bonanza, where he was famous for playing Little Joe Cartwright. Friendly approached the actor with an offer to direct the pilot. Landon agreed on the condition that he would also play Charles Ingalls. Michael Landon did not only want to take on the role of the father of the Ingalls family, he also wanted to become more deeply involved in the production and creative direction of the series.
This got the most mail of any pilot that ever has been. You knew that, of course.
Yes, we got a terrific audience response. We were very happy about it.
With years of acting experience and an increasingly important position in television, Landon quickly became a central figure in bringing the project from script to screen.
I'm really only concerned with making film, and good film, and that's all I am in the business for. I don't do the other things.
The pilot aired on NBC on March 30th, 1974. The result exceeded expectations as the program achieved very strong ratings and demonstrated that the story of the Ingalls family could attract a large audience. The success of the pilot paved the way for NBC to turn Little House on the Prairie into an official television series. The series began airing in September. Michael Landon played Charles Ingalls, Karen Grassel played Caroline Ingalls, Melissa Gilbert portrayed Laura Ingalls, and Melissa Sue Anderson played Mary Ingalls. The main cast quickly established the central family image of the series and became the foundation for the stories that followed. Although the television adaptation was inspired by Laura Ingalls Wilder's books, it did not follow the source material completely. Ed Friendly wanted the production to remain faithful to the spirit and content of the books, while Michael Landon took a broader approach. He added more storylines involving family community morality and social issues. This difference became increasingly clear as Landon gained greater creative influence. He took part in writing scripts, directing, and producing many episodes. Landon's approach allowed Little House on the Prairie to move beyond the daily life of the Ingalls family and expand its focus to other characters and issues within Walnut Grove. From that beginning, Little House on the Prairie quickly entered a period of widespread success with notable Nielsen rankings, numerous award nominations, and episodes that became landmarks of American television. The height of success. From its very first season, Little House on the Prairie demonstrated significant appeal among American television audiences. The season concluded in 13th place in the overall Nielsen rankings. This achievement gave NBC further reason to continue investing in a series that was rapidly expanding its audience. The show's popularity continued through the following seasons. Out of its 9 main seasons, Little House on the Prairie placed in the Nielsen Top 20 for 6 seasons. This was a notable achievement for a television series that ran for many years, especially as the program competed with numerous other popular productions on American television. The success in ratings was accompanied by recognition from the television industry. Little House on the Prairie received a total of 17 Emmy nominations during its run. The series won 4 awards, including 2 for cinematography and 2 for the musical score by composer David Rose. In addition to the Emmys, the program received 3 Golden Globe nominations and 2 People's Choice Awards. These results showed that the series not only maintained a strong audience, but also held a notable position within the television awards system. The names of the cast members also became increasingly associated with the characters they portrayed. One of the most memorable storylines involved Mary Ingalls. In the 4th season, the character played by Melissa Sue Anderson became blind after suffering from scarlet fever. The storyline continued across several episodes, becoming one of the most important arcs involving the Ingalls family, and marking a major turning point for Mary. The series also regularly expanded its subject matter beyond family stories. Episodes addressed adoption, alcoholism, racial discrimination, and other social issues. This range of topics allowed the program to maintain multiple storylines while making life in the Walnut Grove community an important part of the series. Another episode that attracted attention was The Monster of Walnut Grove, which aired during the 8th season. The episode explored a Halloween setting and showed that the series could change its storytelling approach while retaining its familiar characters. Special episodes like this helped create a collection of installments that continued to be discussed many years later. By the end of the series, Little House on the Prairie continued to draw attention through major changes in its storyline. The television series officially ended after its 9th season in 1983, while the story of Walnut Grove continued through television films. One of them was The Last Farewell, which aired on February 6, 1984. For NBC, the show's popularity allowed the network to maintain a long-running series and continue producing television specials after the main series ended. Michael Landon also became the central figure of the franchise, appearing on screen while taking part in writing, directing, and producing many episodes. Behind that success were complicated relationships among the cast members, disagreements during production, and numerous behind-the-scenes stories that audiences rarely saw. Behind-the-scenes secrets on screen. Laura Ingalls and Nellie Oleson frequently clashed, creating one of the most memorable relationships in Little House on the Prairie. In real life, Melissa Gilbert and Allison Arngrim had a completely different relationship. The 2 actresses became close friends and maintained their friendship throughout their time working together. The contrast between the 2 characters and the 2 actresses made many behind-the-scenes stories particularly interesting. Gilbert and Arngrim spent time together away from the set, even staying overnight at each other's homes. They also often worked together to play practical jokes on members of the crew. Michael Landon was one of the people who frequently became the target of those pranks. Gilbert and Arngrim once caught frogs to tease the actor. These actions reflected the relaxed relationship among some of the younger members of the cast, in sharp contrast to the tension between Laura and Nellie on screen. Alongside the practical jokes, the drinking culture was also mentioned in many behind-the-scenes accounts. According to information shared by people involved with the production, the crew reportedly went through around 2 to 3 cases of Coors beer each day during production. Michael Landon was also described as someone who frequently drank while working. Some accounts stated that he started his mornings with coffee mixed with alcohol and continued drinking throughout the day. These details presented a different image from the working style portrayed through his character, Charles Ingalls. Relations among the cast members were not always smooth. Melissa Gilbert and Melissa Sue Anderson, who played Laura and Mary Ingalls, were reportedly not close for much of their time on the series. Their distant relationship lasted for many years and later became one of the behind-the-scenes stories frequently discussed by fans. In her memoir and public comments, Gilbert spoke about the differences between herself and Anderson. She once used very harsh language when describing her co-star. Although the two actresses played sisters on screen, their real-life relationship did not reflect the close bond between Laura and Mary in the series. Karen Grassel, who played Caroline Ingalls, also had disagreements with Michael Landon. The main issues involved salary and working conditions. Grassel believed her contributions deserved appropriate recognition, while Landon's creative control continued to grow throughout the production. Catherine McGregor, who played Harriet Olsen, also had her own working style. She was known for offering numerous opinions about her character and the way scenes were performed. Some members of the crew were not always comfortable with the actress repeatedly offering her input. These differences unfolded as Michael Landon assumed an increasingly important role. He played Charles Ingalls while also writing scripts, directing, and producing. Landon's considerable decision-making authority allowed him to shape the series, while also making personal and professional disagreements more likely to become issues within the production. One of the events that strongly affected the relationship between Landon and Melissa Gilbert involved the actor's personal life. Landon divorced his second wife, Lynn Noe, and later married Cindy Clerico, who had worked on the production as a makeup artist. Clerico was about 20 years younger than Landon. The relationship left Gilbert feeling hurt, and she stopped communicating with the man who had played her on-screen father for a period of time. This was one of the personal events that significantly changed their relationship away from the set. Beyond the conflicts between the people involved, the episodes themselves also left behind numerous unusual details. Several errors involving sound props, costumes, and continuity remained on screen without being corrected, creating another part of Little House on the Prairie's legacy. Bloopers you missed. One example often mentioned involves the episode The Monster of Walnut Grove. In some interior scenes, viewers can hear tree branches rustling outside a bedroom window. The detail stands out because no corresponding trees appear within the frame to match the sound. A similar occurrence can be noticed in The Music Box. Ambient sound was used to create a sense of the space outside, but the sound and image did not always match. This type of technical error can be difficult to notice when viewers focus only on the main storyline. Some sounds are believed to have come from existing footage or pre-recorded effects, rather than being recorded specifically for each scene. Reusing these sound sources made production more convenient, but could create inconsistencies between the images and audio. Details like these remained in the broadcast versions. The props also show how the production reused items across different scenes. A quilt featuring a double wedding ring pattern appeared on the beds of several characters, including the Olsen and Ingalls families. Seeing the same item in multiple homes became noticeable when the series was viewed again. This use of props was not necessarily a serious mistake. For a television program with many episodes, reusing items helped control production costs and time. When the same object appeared in different families' homes, continuity could be affected, especially for attentive viewers. Costumes and hairstyles also created details that did not fully match the historical setting. Little House on the Prairie was primarily set in the late 19th century, but some women's costumes suggested more modern fashion. Certain hairstyles also reflected influences from the period when the series was produced. One commonly mentioned example involves some female characters apparently wearing modern-style bras. Commercial bras became widely popular in the early 20th century, while many stories took place during the final decades of the 19th century. This difference raised questions about the historical accuracy of the costumes. Laura Ingalls' hairstyle was also mentioned by Melissa Gilbert. The character had relatively long hair, styled more like contemporary television than a strict interpretation of historical descriptions. This detail showed how the series prioritized television presentation alongside its recreation of the past. Continuity issues also appeared in the storyline of Albert Ingalls. He was established as an important member of the Ingalls family, but his fate was not entirely consistent across the productions. Look Back to Yesterday, which aired in 1983, included indications that Albert might die from illness. Other material in the series referred to Albert differently, leaving viewers without a consistent conclusion about his future. This inconsistency became a point of debate among fans, comparing individual episodes with the television films. Another issue concerns the timeline of The Last Farewell. The story is set in 1901, but many characters show little noticeable change in age compared with earlier installments. This creates a gap between the timeline established by the script and the character's appearance on screen. The detail becomes more noticeable when compared with the real-life history of the Ingalls family. Charles Ingalls died in 1902, while the television story brings the characters to a relatively late point compared with earlier events. The series therefore contains differences between real history and its fictional timeline. In the end, these mistakes were only one part of the larger story of Little House on the Prairie. As the series' popularity changed, issues involving ratings, production direction, and NBC's decisions eventually brought the program to an end, opening a different final chapter for Walnut Grove. Reasons for the end. In 1983, NBC decided to end the series. The decision left Michael Landon dissatisfied. He believed the network had not communicated with him as he expected before the show was canceled. Those disagreements directly influenced how Landon handled the conclusion of the story. Another factor involved the filming location. The area used to recreate Walnut Grove was subject to terms requiring the land to be returned to its original condition. Landon therefore chose a different approach for the ending, instead of simply having the characters leave the town. The script for The Last Farewell was developed for this purpose. The television special aired on February 6, 1984, continuing the story after the series' final season. The people of Walnut Grove faced the reality that their town could no longer continue as it had before. Michael Landon made an unprecedented decision regarding the familiar setting. The buildings of Walnut Grove were destroyed using real explosives during filming. This provided a definitive ending for the location and also resolved the requirements concerning the filming site. The destruction became one of the most memorable elements of The Last Farewell. Even after the original series ended, Little House on the Prairie remained part of popular culture. Episodes continued to be rerun on television and appear on different platforms. Characters such as Laura, Charles, Caroline, and Nellie remained recognizable to audiences decades after their first appearances. The franchise continued to expand when Netflix released a reboot in July 2026. The new version consists of 8 episodes, with Rebecca Sonnenschein serving as showrunner and trip-friendly son of producer Ed Friendly involved as a producer. The project draws on Laura Ingalls Wilder's works, while taking a new approach to the story. The reboot is not a direct copy of the original series. Its return demonstrates the lasting recognition of the Little House on the Prairie name. Allison Arngrim, who played Nellie Olson in the original series, appeared as a guest star in the second episode, creating a direct connection between the 2 generations of the franchise. Melissa Gilbert also visited the set. Among the surviving cast members, Melissa Gilbert continues to take part in television projects and activities connected to the series' legacy. In December 2025, she and Melissa Sue Anderson reconciled after more than 4 decades of distance. The two later spoke positively about their renewed relationship. Alison Arngrim also remains active through Little House on the Prairie-related events. She continues to perform her one-woman show, Confessions of a Prairie Bitch, and participate in fan gatherings and reunions. Nellie Oleson remains one of the roles most closely associated with her career. Karen Grassel, who played Caroline Ingalls, has also continued discussing her career and personal life in interviews. At 84, she is reported to divide her time between the United States and Carrara, Italy. Michael Landon died on July 4, 1991 at age 54 after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Decades later, his portrayal of Charles Ingalls remains one of the defining elements of the series. Little House on the Prairie grew from an unexpected adaptation project into one of the most enduring series in American television. Behind its peaceful family image were conflicts, on-screen mistakes, and a remarkable ending that many viewers never knew about. More than 50 years later, its story continues to reach new audiences. If you want to discover more behind-the-scenes secrets, overlooked moments, and stories from classic television, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join us as we uncover what these iconic shows never revealed.